It's about presenting information in a way that makes it work for human beings. And so that's why we've designed this conversation. And that's all that these are going to be. One thing we really insist on with any jurisdiction that we work with is that our reviews are never used punitively. So it doesn't matter if you got a no on every question that you ever got reviewed. That's not the intent. First of all, there's a very high bar for what's considered really good on these cases. So that alone is reason to probably not go there. Second, we actually tell our reviewers, when in doubt, let's just have the conversation, because it doesn't hurt to have the conversation, so we'll bring it forward to the conversation. The third thing is, we remember. I was, in fact, a child protective investigator. I was, in fact, a child protective investigation supervisor. I was a manager over child protection. So I managed supervisors as well. And I remember that these jobs are difficult. And I would have wanted someone to own part of the risk alongside me. I would have wanted someone to share in these tough decisions I have to make with families. I don't think that you should have to make these decisions by yourself, in particular on your toughest cases. So the intent here is for us to work together to come up with a good plan so that we ensure that whenever possible, bad things don't happen. And if for some reason they do, that we can really stand behind our work. The team all worked together and we thought this was the best plan. And if for some reason it doesn't work out, we can say that. And so that's really what we're trying to do here, and we're trying to do it being cognizant of how people think and how we best present information to the field. Okay. Thank you. Okay, these are Hillsborough results. In general, those things, one of the things I never liked about quality assurance is we tend to report the same problem over and over and over again without it getting any better. That hasn't been the case with rapid safety feedback. We started out with supervisory reviews, less than 50%, probably even 40%, where we said, yep, we think they found everything, and we think they ensured accountability and everything. That improved by about 35%. Improvement in sharing of information amongst professionals, improvement in safety planning, all of the 9 things across the board on average, 22% better. Interestingly, in Maine and actually that's another slide, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. In some of our replicating jurisdictions, we're seeing the same results. We also have not seen any abuse deaths in the population under review. So that's quite a change from the 3 years prior to implementation. I will caution that I think there are a lot of things that changed when we changed systems, so it's entirely possible when those things influence this as well. We do have an evaluation underway that is looking to see if we can replicate these results in other jurisdictions. It's actually happening in 3 other states right now, but the results in Hillsborough are certainly promising. So Ohio is one of many places around the country that is doing rapid safety feedback. We are actually live in Maine, Illinois, Connecticut, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. And we are in development next door in Indiana and in Tennessee, and we just started work in New Hampshire. So a number of states have gone through this before, so that provides us with some experience in providing other jurisdictions with the resources and monitoring fidelity, etc. I will tell you that we did have key practice improvements in our first 2 jurisdictions, so the ones that are mature enough to report results. Oklahoma and Maine also had improvement as noted there. So that's really recent, most recently reported as of June, so promising, I think, for sure. So, Ohio's problem statement. Every jurisdiction, in order to identify the cases that are highest risk, we have to know what they're at highest risk for, right? So each jurisdiction has to determine what cases do we want to look at? What is the problem that we are in fact trying to solve? And so Ohio is actually trying to solve a problem in two different populations. And so we're actually doing separate analysis on both of those populations in order to come up with those lists for a case review. So the first problem statement for assessment or investigations is to prevent child fatalities and near fatalities for families with a pending assessment when at least one child resides in the home while the case is open for at least 12 months following case closure. So 12 months window of opportunity. If you had a we're not trying to prevent a fatality. If you ever had a case, 6 years ago you had a case, that wouldn't have been in the analysis. Okay, it's only going to be if you had a case within a year. And we have a definition of near fatality that's based upon your maltreatment index. Near fatalities vary in how they are defined in every jurisdiction. We went through your maltreatment index and came up with the maltreatments that we thought best typified near fatality. Things like, subdural hematoma, these kinds of very serious maltreatments. In the ongoing population, we're trying to prevent fatalities and near fatalities for families receiving in-home services while the case is open, and again, for at least 12 months thereafter. Okay. So the process really is three prongs. First, we're going to identify the case. We're going to serve it up on that dashboard. You're not going to see that dashboard. You don't have to worry about that dashboard. You don't have to enter anything into Mindshare. You'll never have to go into Mindshare, look at Mindshare, do anything with it. All of that is QA people only, okay? But they will let you know, hey, your case has been identified for review, give you a heads up, hey, make sure you get your documentation and that kind of thing, all right? Then we're gonna review that case against the Ohio tool, look for any opportunities that we want, or issues that we just have questions about that we'll want to talk to you about in a staffing. If there are any of those, then we'll have a staffing with you within 1 business day. Okay. We decided about in-person versus phone.
It's going to depend on the agency.
Yeah. So that very often, sometimes those staffings are in person. Sometimes they're on the phone. The process only requires that they be on the phone, but some jurisdictions like for them to be in person. So what we tell every jurisdiction is don't have it 3 days later so that you can have it in person. It needs to happen right away because this is a high-risk case and we want to impact the safety. We're going to come up in some of those staffings with something that needs to be done. Maybe we need to interview the pediatrician on a medical neglect case. We'll enter that in. Who needs to do it, by when, and we will ask you for a date by which you can get it completed. Assuming we think that's fine, we'll just document that. If you have a problem getting something done, don't ignore it. Reach out, let your reviewer know, hey, I've been trying to get hold of this doctor, he's out of the country. He comes back on a blank date, can I get an extension? And they will provide an extension, absolutely no problem. If, however, he's not out of the country, you said you were going to do it by Friday, it's Tuesday of the following week, you haven't said anything, that's a problem. And this is where the process will turn from being peer-to-peer, never punitive, etc., to you said you were going to do something for child safety and now you haven't done it. Tell me what happened. It's a much more pointed and sharp tone at that point, and there'll be accountability staffings. I have to say, in our experience, we don't have many. Very rare. Less than 5% of cases end up in accountability staffing. But if for some reason you can't do it, I just reiterate, tell us why, tell us what you've tried, document your attempts, and then you won't end up in accountability staffing. So we're going to review the case between the 7th and 10th day. Why? Well, we don't want to review it before you've been out there. I want to give you the opportunity to do your initial assessment, meet everybody, come up with a plan for the case. And so that's why we wait until that point, and then we do the review then. There'll be a subsequent review between like the 35th and 40th day. Those tend to be quick, tend to not require very many staffings. They really are just looking at what happened between day 10 and now. And did something new happen on the case? Is there something, did a new allegation come in, for example? Did something happen? Or when you went back out for that interview, did they drop a bombshell, you know? Those kinds of things. And on the second review, we're really just trying to make sure that the case is going in the direction that we had all intended at the first review. If transferred to ongoing, they'll be reviewed every 90 days, and they'll also be reviewed once they're identified in the model for that population as well. The QA reviewer will follow the case as long as it remains open. And well, they'll focus, I've already said all this, okay. So what should you expect? I don't know, we probably should call this a Bill of Rights or something, I don't know, but you should expect respect in these staffings, and you should expect that there will be shared risk and responsibility. You'll have a second set of eyes looking at your case, maybe having you think about it slightly differently. You should expect collaboration. You should expect open communication. You should expect honesty, but that honesty should be respectfully phrased. And then you should expect to jointly develop an action plan on any of the opportunities that the case might have identified for the team. You should not expect that just because the case is considered high risk that the kid needs to be removed, that we think your casework was poor, that this is some sort of gotcha situation, that you will be told what to do. And I really want to be clear about that. If you feel like you are being instructed on what to do, instead of asked what to do about a problem you both agree exists, you need to let that be known, because that is not the intent of this process. And we know the process from our fidelity reviews might be going a little bit off the rails if people come out and say, well, what's your plan? I'm going to re-interview the grandmother and I'm going to talk to the doctor. Oh great, why are you going to do that? Well, QA told me to. If that's what you said and that's how you feel, then we've got work to do on our end about how this process works. And finally, you should expect your expertise to be valued. We will come on site actually 4 times a year, and we will QA the QA. So they will get recorded. We will watch them staff. We will listen to them staff, and our intent is not at all about you. There's no questions that we're looking at about you. It's all in helping us help them support you better. So understand that they will also have scrutiny on them, okay? Okay, so staffing unfolds this way. First, we're going to debrief anything we think is maybe a problem with the case, like we've got great interviews and everything, but let's say we think the safety plan is kind of promissory to our eyes. We weren't there, maybe we're misinterpreting how you wrote it down, maybe it is promissory, okay? We will debrief that issue. We'll say, how'd you come up with the safety plan? How does it really control for? Knowing that mom and the perpetrator have said that they were going to do this safety plan 5 times before, and now that it's the 6th case, what do you think about that, okay? And assuming we make you think differently, you'll probably agree that maybe there's something we should do with that safety plan. Then we'll say, okay, well, what could we do differently on this case? And we hope that you will come up with whatever action plan would best work for this family. You know the family. You know about the aunt who happens to live next door and therefore could be used as a safety resource. We don't, okay? So we will really look to you at that point. Now that we've the work really for the QA team is the first two boxes. This then really becomes the supervisor and caseworker's opportunity to say, okay, well, here's what I want to do differently on the case. And then we'll agree to that, and we'll determine timeframes for completion, okay? And then the QA team will document all of that and track it to completion. We are hoping that this will result for you, as it has for other jurisdictions, in improved safety. We're also hoping, though, that you will feel like QA is sharing in your responsibility. It's very different when you have someone review a live case than when they review a closed case, right? It's all Monday morning quarterbacking at that point, isn't it? They didn't share in any of the decisions, so they get to say, well, here's our 165 question tool and you missed subpart B. That's not this. This is a shared responsibility model. And we'll help you, we think, identify the highest risk cases as an agency. And we also think we can help you identify systemic barriers. So if one provider seems to never return anyone's phone call, right? The QA reviewers may be able to notice that because they're looking at a cross section of a lot of cases, rather than I'm this one supervisor and I'm looking at just the cases that are assigned to me. Because they have that wide view, sometimes they can identify some of those system issues that may be more difficult to see in the day-to-day grind of casework. Okay. These are some testimonials. I'll read you one from the case manager, since that's probably most appropriate for this group. Although every family is different, the data that is provided from RSF definitely helps us case managers make better decisions and identify risks. I am very grateful to have RSF as my partner to back me up. And we are hoping that is how you will feel and perceive this. The proof will be in the actual staffings once you have them, the way they are conducted. What we will do in order to support that work is, as you go live, we will listen in. We will be providing weekly calls where we are continuing to staff with folks after they're trained in the model. For the next 3 days, we will be working intensely with the QA team, and I will be playing the role of the caseworker supervisor. What do you mean? No, I don't really think that we need to do X, Y, Z, okay? And we are going to work closely with that group so that they can be supportive and helpful to you as we roll this out. This is how we're going to grade, or support, I shouldn't say grade. This is how we're going to support the QA team. When we come on site, we actually look at how they're pulling the cases, how they're meeting with the supervisor before they meet with you, how we can help them improve, do all of that stuff. So that's something that's part of every contract that we have. Okay, that's it.